What happens to them, we don't really care, but I need to get around. Women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example. 6-7 months ago, I get a text one day. The text said, "Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck." I walked through the house. I find my wife. I said, "Hey," I said, "I just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "Was he driving?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "Were Carol and the kids in the car with him?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "Were the people in the other car hurt too?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "Did they even have insurance?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "What hospital did they take him to?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "You don't know anything. What do you know?" I said, "I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text that he was in a bad wreck." God bless you. Thank you guys for listening to me. You're awesome. Thank you so much. No more reality TV shows. Seriously. If I want to watch the day-to-day life of unattractive, uneducated people, I will hang out with my own family. Thank you very much. No more breast reduction surgeries. I mean, why should I be penalized just because your back hurts? Come on. Take an Advil, for crying out loud. No more commercials where some law group is trying to get somebody to sue somebody else. We are the most sue-happy nation on earth, which is why our car insurance is so expensive, which is why our medical insurance is so expensive, all the lawsuits. And it started with cars. Have you been in a car accident? Do you know someone that's been in a car accident? Have you ever heard about a car accident? Now it's everything. Has a woman with a vaginal mesh implant given you the prescription drug fen-phen, which caused you to develop mesothelioma? If so, you could be owed billions. I just remember that happened to me last summer. Yes, sir. You can have a wife with long, beautiful hair, or you can be on time. Can't have both. Fact of life, the more kids you have, the worse your parenting becomes. People that only have one child are making homemade baby food out of organic vegetables they're growing in their own backyard. Yeah, by the time that fourth kid rolls around, you're smoking a cigarette while you watch your toddler pull a year-old milk dud out from under the stove and eat it. Pick the cat hair off of it before you put it in your mouth, dummy.
Praying, Father, thank you. Thank you that we're just a bunch of used to be orphans, a bunch of used to be, God, beggars, pointing to other beggars where they can find living water. Thank you that, Lord, this is so much bigger than meeting temporary needs. It's about gospel work. Thank you that children and their families will come to know Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. Because it's hard for us to tell them Jesus loves them when we don't care about the fact that they're hungry and they've got hunger pains. So thank you that this is an authentic moment. I thank you, Lord, for the chance that we've been given to step into this. We don't have to do this, we get to do this. It's a privilege and a gift. Thank you, Lord, for other organizations like World Vision and Holt International, other great organizations, even here this week, who do child sponsorship like Sozo. Thank you, God, that together with compassion, they do gospel work. Bless their ministries, Lord. For the many students in this room who already walked in this room having sponsored a child, from some other organization. I pray that today they felt affirmed for what you'd already called them. And Lord, I pray for the children who are going to get to meet a Liberty student at spring break, because that relationship started, and then there's about to be a 16-hour flight and a physical hug and a day of kicking a soccer ball around that's coming around the bend in a few months. Thank you, Lord, that that day will be a day that will mark the life of a child forever. We pray this in your name. Amen. Hey, the buckets are going to go around, and we're going to take this for just a second. As they go around, if you sense that you want to just throw that packet into the bucket, hang on to the perforated edge, all right? Tonight will be a campus community. We've asked Compassion to be around and available for that. If you would, hang on just a second, guys. We want to make sure the buckets go around. Just wait one more minute until the buckets go fully around. If it goes by your area already, all right, then just make sure you're not disrupting, and then you can slip out. But we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to be able to drop the bucket in if they need to. It's awesome. While we're doing that, can we again just thank the Foxworthy family for being here, buddy? I love you. You're awesome. Jordan, thank you. Jared, thanks for letting us do this with you.
Thank you, man. This is great. Thank you.
Anything we forgot here before we dismiss?
No. We're good.
Hey, take that little thing. Go get your T-shirt, all right? And God bless you guys. Hey, make sure you drop those into the bucket, all right, on your way out.
I don't know why cats never throw up in the daytime. Cats wait until you are lying in bed, almost asleep, and then from somewhere in your home you hear, remind me to put my slippers on in the morning. And you do want to put your slippers on, because you find that with your bare foot, you don't need coffee, because you are awake and looking for a cat. And my wife, bless her heart, she has to clean it up every time. And it's not that I haven't tried, I have. It's just every time I get near it, I make the same noises the cat makes.
Well, thank you. Please remain standing. Well, it is fun to be here. You know, this brings back so many cool memories. The last time I was here, the governor of Minnesota come down here and presented me with the key to the 24-hour fitness. So, I thought that was pretty cool, but it's kind of it's a cool anniversary for me tonight. This is a double anniversary. This is my 27th year in the comedy business. And thank you. Remain seated. And it's my 5th year being funny, so I'm excited about both of them, all right? They're both really cool, so we're going to enjoy it. I guess I got to do this before I go any further, I suppose. Get her done. Get her done. That's been around a long time. I remember the first thing I ever sold that had Get Her Done on it was in Florida. Get Her Done condoms. There was 3 sizes: get her, and get her done. All right, that was it. But they say get her done everywhere. That's pretty awesome. I remember, this is how they say get her done in China. Not kidding. This is how they say get her done in Nairobi. I ain't kidding. Google it. All right, Google it. I ain't kidding with you. That's how they do it.
I don't know why you can't ride a bicycle anymore without dressing like Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. Does anybody remember when you could ride a bike wearing jeans and a t-shirt? Not anymore, boy. Got to have the uni. And it's not just young athletic people. We got these fat middle-aged guys look like the Michelin Man in a wetsuit. And they have sponsor logos. Who's sponsoring you, Pop? Dunkin' Donuts, all right. Pedal. Fact of life. Flying on an airplane makes you gassy. Nobody ever acknowledges this. Nobody talks about this. No, we just all take our little roll-around suitcase and walk to baggage claim, popping them off like a trail horse. Okay, when I write this, I don't know if I'm the only one doing it or not. Got a few little giveaway laughs in this crowd. Fact of life. Who is that? I'm not flying with you. Fact of life.
Been a crazy week for me this week. My grandma's on medical marijuana, and she broke her hip the other day. She tripped playing hacky sack. I'm like, Grandma, you smoke too much pot. She goes, how do you know how much pot I smoke? I said, 'cause Meals on Wheels been by your house 8 times today. All right, that's what. I wanted to take my wife on vacation down there to Cabo San Lucas, down there in New Mexico, wherever the hell it is. And I'm scared of that damn Zika virus, that mosquito deal. Now they say it spreads sexually. What the hell? How drunk you got to be to take a mosquito home with you? All right, daggone. Kidding with you. How you get your little legs apart? That's what I don't know about the old thing. You'll bust them. They're little. I knew they were pests. Now they're horrors. You believe that? I can't even believe it. It's ridiculous.
I don't know why a dog can eat his own vomit, gobble up cat poop, and lick his rear end for hours and be totally fine. But if he eats half a candy bar, he dies. Fact of life, out of all the dinosaurs, the Tyrannosaurus Rex was the meanest because his arms were too short to reach his wiener. That is a medically proven fact. That will make you angry. And you'll never watch Jurassic Park the same way again. Fact of life, if you're driving down the interstate and you come up behind that old pickup truck that has like 13 wooden pallets stacked in the back and they're held together by like 2 ratty bungee cords, we all say the same prayer. Dear God, do not let those bungee cords break until I get around this guy. What happens to them, we don't really worry about, but I need to get around him. Fact of life, when your kids go off to college, you need to be concerned about the excessive drinking, the wild sex, the sleeping till noon, and you need to worry your kids might be doing the same thing. Fact of life, 100% of the black men that shave their heads look really cool. 50% of the white guys that shave their heads look like they just murdered their parents. And you're thinking of somebody right now, aren't you? Fact of life, flying on an airplane makes you gassy. Nobody ever talks about this. Nobody ever acknowledges this. We just take our little roll-around suitcase and walk to baggage claim, popping them off like a trail horse.
Okay, let me tell you what makes me feel better. When I write this stuff, I don't know if it's just me or not. But when you laugh like that and start punching each other, I know there's others in the club. And I think that's why TSA is always in such a bad mood, by the way.
I was getting my car serviced a while back, and they called to say it was ready. I called my father-in-law. I said, hey, can you give me a ride to the car dealership? On the way to the dealership, he needed to stop for gas. I learned on that little stop that it is possible to wash your entire car with the squeegee from the gas station. And I know this because I sat in the passenger seat and watched him do it. Well, I sat there until the guy at the next pump started videoing it. Then I slid down in the floorboard because I didn't want to get tagged on Instagram. He got back in the car. I said, you do realize the gas station has got a car wash right there? He goes, yeah, well, that's $6. I'm like, so to save $6, you gave away all your dignity and washed your car with a squeegee in the dirtiest water on the planet Earth. I used to have fantasies about going out with a girl as nasty as the squeegee water at the gas station. He is such a trip. Yeah, and he walks around, he's got his pants up to his nipples now. And he just talks about how the world has gone to hell in a hay wagon and it used to be so much better back in the good old days. Of course, when he describes the way he grew up, it's always tough. You know, it's like, oh, yeah, we had no electricity. Me and my brother shared a pair of shoes. We had to walk to school through 5 feet of snow. I'm like, when did it snow 5 feet in New Orleans? But I kind of get what he means about the good old days. Because, think about it, as you get old, technology has changed your entire life. Morality has changed. Society has changed. And all of a sudden, you find yourself living in a world that doesn't make sense to you. So you kind of long for that world where you felt like you had things figured out. And to them, that's the good old days. But it couldn't have been perfect. I was asking my mom about it. I don't know why the people with the worst breath always stand the closest to you when they talk. They're like, guess what? I don't know, you have a dirty diaper in your mouth? Can I tell you something? All right, but do it quick. I can only hold my breath for 30 seconds. And you always try to offer them like a piece of gum or a mint. They never take it. Oh, no thanks. I don't like the way those taste. Yeah, I can see where you wouldn't prefer peppermint to that cat poop you're gnawing on right now. That's, in working with Compassion, because what Compassion does, and I've been working with them for 10 or 12 years, is they go all over the world, and in the most efficient way, they love on people that the world's kicked to the curb, which is exactly what Jesus would be doing.
Exactly, man. What an incredible organization. Compassion as our primary partner this year with the G5 initiative in Rwanda has given us a vehicle where our students can sponsor a child halfway across the world, talking about just an unlikely partnership where a student from Ohio or from Wisconsin all of a sudden drops in the middle of a village in Rwanda through sponsorship, and for a little more than $1 a day, puts education, medication, clean water, honestly empowers the local church in that village to just be the hands and feet of Jesus and to really make a difference.
So both of our kids are college age. What would you say to the college students is the advantage of getting into something like sponsorship at that age, as opposed to, say, when you're older and more financially set?
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. I mean, I think because you've got kids who are in college, that this generation of college students aren't just content with just sending $1 a day halfway across the world, or just buying coffee that's connected to good work in Guatemala. They actually want to be the hands and feet of Jesus. They actually want to build relationships. They want to get out of that one-dimensional sponsorship get into a pen pal relationship, get to go halfway across the world and meet the child that they're sponsoring.
And see where they live,
Yeah.
and see where they sleep,
Totally.
and at a much earlier age than you and I did, make their life richer and fuller and more meaningful. You know, I always tell my kids, you don't get a practice lap. You get one lap around the track. It's not like you can do it once and go, all right, next time I'm.
That's right.
So why not, from the get-go, make it? It's like Jesus said, "I give you life to the full." This is part of life to the full.
That's
to
right.
me. You are creating a relationship that through your correspondence back and forth, that is decades long, and it makes your life richer and fuller. To be tied into the hopes and dreams of somebody on the other side of the world, and they're tied into your life, and it's like, wow, I never saw that coming. I never saw another important relationship coming when I signed up to write that check every month.
Yeah, so through this Compassion International sponsorship of a child in Rwanda, you're coming alongside of a family, not just so that you can meet their everyday needs, but because the gospel calls us to love the widow, the orphan, and the stranger. And honestly, one of the funnest parts of that is going to be partnering to do together what we could never do alone.
Amen.
So before we really get into it, I did want to make sure we allude to something they saw. They probably were like, wow, why was he limping? You didn't get hurt while we were in Rwanda. You came with a broken ankle.
I broke my ankle like the week before we went. So.
Yeah, and when we heard that, we thought, oh no, is he going to back out? But then you didn't, and I thought that was
No, because my daughter Jordan would have disowned me, because if Jordan could just make her life going on a mission trip every week, that's what she would do. And so we were so excited about going, and she had been years before, and she's like, I want you to see Rwanda. And so
she's been a lot of times to Africa, right?
Yeah. The first trip I ever, mission trip, it was with Jordan was 14.
Yep.
And we went to, worked over in AIDS orphanages in Kenya. So that was, 12 years ago.
Since then, 10 times, Jordan, you've been?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, that's incredible. Tell us why you're so passionate about this kind of work.
So our first trip was, I was 14 and in 8th grade and had never really traveled before. And it was certainly like a life-changing experience, to say the least. And I went with you and a group of fathers taking their children from my church, and was just amazed right away at what Compassion was doing there. And on that first trip, we met our 2 sponsored girls, and we had just started the sponsorship process. So, they were real shy. They were, it was hard to kind of connect all the way with them because they were so shy. And then we came back a few years later and saw them, and just in a few years, through Compassion sponsorship process, these girls had grown up. They were confident. They were excited to show us around and for us to meet their friends. And just the change in them for just a few years of being sponsored was absolutely
they had
amazing.
become like little leaders within that community, so which was really cool.
It was really cool.
And it became a relationship. It wasn't just sending money. I mean, these girls have now for the last 12 years grown up with us. How are you doing? What are you studying? What are you guys up to? And it's a life-changing relationship for them, I think. And that's what Jordan and I learned early, is that you're changing somebody's life.
Yeah.
You have the power to do that, to breathe life into somebody and to breathe hope into somebody.
Jordan, you got to meet your sponsored child on this trip. Tell us about that. I know, Jeff, your whole family got to.
Well, our sponsored child lived at the top of the mountain. I'm like, why couldn't they live
That's the footage of him with the crutches trying to get there. We made it, so that was good. Her name's Becky, and she has 2 sisters. She's precious, and it was really cool. We got to sit in their home and talk with her mother and learn about their life. And her father had left, had abandoned them a few years before, and it was
a mom raising 3 daughters
Yeah.
on her own, but the fact what Becky was getting in school was literally like a lifeblood for the whole family.
Yep. Right.
So It's really cool.
That's one of the things people don't know. When you sponsor a child, that child is really the whole family that's represented. Jared, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You are investing in one life, but the way that works is, I mean, that family, it could be 7 people in the family, and yet what's amazing is that family, that child getting the benefits, that church is reaching out to that entire family, because everything Compassion does is through that local church. So those pastors that we work with, they know that family. They know their community. So they know what they need, and they're able to invest in them that way.
So, Mr. Rockstar Rudy, everybody in Rwanda knows Rudy, by the way. What is it about your generation that is drawn to this? Because when I think about sponsorship, if you go back 10 years ago, it's something old people like we did. And then when we started talking about students getting involved in this, I'm like, man, that is such an out-of-the-box, cool idea. What is it about this that appeals to your generation?
Yes, sir.
Change. It's like my daughter's growing up, had a hamster, a little white hamster. His name was Herman. And one day Herman's hair started falling out. A lot. And my wife got concerned about it. She said, you know, I think we need to take Herman to the vet. I said, baby, Herman costs $5. Perhaps it's time we let Herman loose out in the woods. You know. Born free. And she started getting mad at me. And I said, honey, I said, let me tell you something. When I was growing up, there was no chance we had a $5 pet that was going to see the inside of a veterinarian's office. Very few of our pets went to the veterinarian. You know what happened to our pets? They ran away. I remember one time my brother and I found this dog and we brought him home, and that dog barked all night long for the first 3 nights we had him. Then on the 4th day, while we were at school, he ran away. We had a cat that started clawing my mother's curtain. She ran away. I remember having goldfish that ran away. But my wife was like, oh no, she said, Herman is our pet, he's our responsibility, I'll take him to the vet. And she did. She took that $5 hamster to the vet. And $65 later, Herman's hair is still falling out. And I said, $65? We could have bought 13 new Hermans for $65. I said, when your medical bills are 13 times what you're worth, either you are really, really cheap or you are really, really sick. I said, let's put it this way. I said, let's say your grandmother went to the doctor and they told her it was going to take $13 million to make her well. I said, you cannot look me in the eye and tell me there's not a chance. We'd be calling the kids downstairs going, girls, sit down, we've got some bad news. Meemaw has run away. It's one of those people starting to laugh at it, then they feel bad about laughing at it. Aww. Fact of life, it takes more than 2 people to play the who farted game. Well, if there's only 2 of you, you know the truth, and they know the truth. And speaking of which, how come anytime you just try to sneak one out, as soon as you let it go, somebody walks right into it? You could feel it brewing. You could get on a plane, fly to South America, go to the Arctic Circle, get on a dog sled 300 miles to the South Pole, look around, not a living thing in sight. Soon as you let it go, hey, Jeff, are these your car keys? Ah! Oh, my God, what'd you eat, dog food? Ah, it's in my mouth. It's in my mouth. Ah! Fact of life. If you are going to see a scary movie at the movie theater, it will be much more entertaining if you can find a seat directly behind a group of black women. Because
That's funny. I don't care who you are. That's funny right there. You know, probably the biggest change from the good old days is the cell phone, because now like everybody has a phone on them 24/7, 365. And like when I was growing up, we had one phone, our entire family. It was in the kitchen, on the wall, avocado green. What was the other? Oh, harvest gold was the other one. And my parents had actually sprung for the extra long cord, and when they said extra long, yeah, those people had that. It was like 1/4 of a mile long. My mom could go down the driveway and get the mail and never quit talking to her sister. But remember the problem with the extra long cord? It was always tangled up. It was just a wad. Yeah, if you could actually untangle the phone cord, the local Boy Scouts would give you a merit badge. That's what a mess our phone was. And I remember when my mom would be on it, but she'd walk all over the house. I remember one night she was cooking. She had that thing just stretched taut. She's cooking, talking on the phone. And I was chasing my brother through the house, and when we rounded the corner, he hit that phone cord right across the neck. The back of his head hit the floor like wedding night panties. It was like, he's laying there making noises like a cat trying to give up a hairball. And my mom never hung up. She was like, and remember back in the good old days when the phone rang, you were always surprised when you answered it. You had no idea who it was going to be. Might be your grandmother, might be the president. You had to pick it up to find out. But now with caller ID, every one of us is like, oh, hell no, I ain't doing that. Ain't nobody got time for that. And some of the things we do with our phones now, you know, like people take pictures, not only of other people in places, their food. My daughter always goes, the camera eats first. They bring her food, she takes a picture of it. I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, when I was growing up, first nobody had a camera with them, so if you ate a delicious waffle, people just had to take your word for it. And here's the other thing people take pictures of their junk, their private, and then they send them to other people. This is the worst idea in the world. See, when I was growing up, if I had wanted to send a picture to my girlfriend of my private parts, I would have had to gone through the house and found a piece of paper, put it on the table, walked up to the edge of the table, dropped my pants, laid Junior on the paper, take a pencil and trace him out. Then I would have had to go find a box of crayons, and it would have had to been the 64 count box, because that's the only one that had flesh tone in it. I would have colored it in, folded the paper up, put it in an envelope, mailed it to my girlfriend, so 3 days later she could call me and go, why did you send me a drawing of your thumb? Are you turned on? So I'm talking to my mom. Well, during the conversation, my mom mentioned that there had been a couple of break-ins in her neighborhood. And I said, well, Mom, I said, that's a little concerning. She said, I know. She said, that's why I am thinking about getting my carry permit. My mother is 83 years old. Her eyesight is bad. Her hearing is worse, and she has the balance of Ron White after midnight. And now she is thinking about getting a pistol. I didn't know what to say. I said, Mom, I said, I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment. I said, and call me overly cautious, but maybe you shouldn't be packing heat if you're wearing a life alert. Though she could use her pill boxes to sort her bullets. I said, Mom, I said, you need to think about this. I said, I hope loading the thing is not going to be more difficult than opening a jar of pickles, or you're going to be in trouble. Because she's got arthritis in her hands. And then I thought, hell, I bet I could get her a commercial out of it. my arthritis had gotten so bad that I could barely jack around into the chamber. But thanks to new improved buffering, I can make it rain, dog. You feel me? It doesn't matter if you're a comedian or a musician, you get used to playing outside. You do a lot of fairs, a lot of festivals, a lot of amphitheaters. And you get used to being hot. So last summer, Larry and I were out together. One day we took the stage in Phoenix. It was like 4:30 in the afternoon. It was 112 degrees. And the promoter's trying to make us feel better. He goes, come on, fellas, it's a dry heat. I'm like, so is the electric chair. It's 112 degrees. But we were doing a show one night down in the South, so you had not only the heat, you had the humidity, and I'm not even going to tell you which city it was in case somebody tries to find the videotape of this. But, so I go on stage, and I mean, you can see, I don't sweat very much. This night, I'm on stage for 10 minutes, and it's rolling down my nose. My shirt, you can see through it. By the end of the hour, it looks like I've been sprayed with a fire hose. I mean, I'm just so. And so usually we never eat before a show because you kind of feel sluggish. So when the show's over, we're always hungry. Well, as soon as the show's over, I'm back in my dressing room and I'm guzzling water and Gatorade and all this stuff, you know, because I sweated so much. And so Larry, I can hear Larry coming down the hall, and he comes in my dressing room. He goes, hey, come on, let's go eat. And well, Larry says that a lot, but, and I usually go because it's impressive to watch Larry eat, it really. But you know how you get when you get too hot. And I said to him, I said, dude, I said, I'm not hungry. I said, I'm just going back to the hotel. I got too hot. I'm going to go to bed. And he's like, come on. And I said, no, I'm not hungry. Please, you know. And he goes, okay, fine. He goes, I cannot wait till you ask me to do something for you. I'm like, how old are you? 8 years old? Like, this isn't personal. I got too hot. I'm not hungry. So I went back to the hotel. And anybody that's on the road for a living, you kind of have your, you know, the way you do things. And I always like a hotel room dark when I sleep. I like it really cool, so I'll turn the thermostat down. But every night you're in a different city, and every hotel room's different. So I always turn on the light in the bathroom, and then I'll shut the door. But that way, if I have to get up, I can see that light and I know where to go. Well, I usually sleep in my underwear, but this night they're wet. I mean, my socks are wet. I've sweated that much. And I told you I only packed 3 pairs, so I just peel my underwear off and I flop in the bed naked and I'm out. So I wake up about 1:30 in the morning and I really, really, really have to pee. And any guy over 40 knows what I'm talking about. You have to pee so much you know you can't go back to sleep. But you don't really want to wake up. You want to go do it and then be right back in the bed and be back out. So I get up, I got my eyes about half open, and I see the light, and I walk in there. Well, as soon as the door closes, I realize I'm in the hall. Of a really nice hotel, completely naked. You want to wake up in a hurry, that's the way to do it, by the way. And so I'm like Matt Damon in The Martian. I'm like, solve the problem, solve the problem. So I knew Larry's room was right across the hall, so I run over to Larry's room and I'm knocking on the door and he's not answering, and all I can picture is him peeking through the keyhole and just laughing. Well, as I'm knocking on his door, I hear the elevator ding. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I know I got a 50-50 chance. They're either going the other way or they're coming towards me. And of course, they come towards me. And it's like these 2 Korean guys and they're talking to each other. So I'm like, oh crap, what did you do? I'm like, act like nothing's up. So I start walking towards them. I went past them. I'm like, hey, how you doing? You know? And one of them said something, which I really hope meant, wow, that was impressive. But when I looked it up on Translator, I found out it meant, did you see her mustache? So I know I can't get on the elevator. I know elevators have security cameras in them, and I'm like, what the hell do you do? So I saw like the exit sign, and I'm thinking, all right, get in the stairwell, get out of this lighted hallway. So I go jogging down the hall, and I get in there, and I'm hoping there's going to be a trash can in the stairwell with a garbage bag in it that I can wear like a sundress or something, you know. So I get into the stairwell, and there's no trash can. The only thing there's like 2 empty beer cans. And I'm trying to think what I should do, but the reason that I got up in the first place was I had to pee. And I'm like, I have no idea how long I'm going to be in the staircase. So I pick up the beer cans and I pee in them and put them back. And I felt terrible about it, because I know down the road somebody's going to have to clean them up. But it was Old Milwaukee, and I figured they're just going to pick them up and go, yeah, that's Old Milwaukee, all right. So since it was a nice hotel, they had room service. So my plan was I was going to keep going down different levels and check and see if I could see a room service tray in the hall. And then I would run down and get like the napkin on it and wear it like a diaper, you know, a loincloth. So I go down 2 or 3 floors and I don't find anything. But about the 4th floor down, I look out and there's 2 pizza boxes outside of the room. Well, to me, at this point, they look like a tuxedo. So I run down there and I grab those pizza boxes and I get back and I go down the last floor too, and I can't find anything better than that. But now it's really late. It's like 2 in the morning, and I got to lobby level and I can crack the door open and I can see the lobby. There's nobody out there. I can't hear anybody talking. And I'm thinking, all right, just be brave for 20 seconds. So 1 pizza box in the front, 1 in the back. Go up to the desk, there's a woman working. She's looking down working. She looked up, she goes, can I help you? Yes, you can. I said, yes. I said, I accidentally locked myself out of my room. Can I just get another key so I can get back in? She said, do you have any identification? I said, I do, but it's in my other pizza box. I'm like, no, I locked myself out of my room. So she said, oh, well, I'm going to need to talk to a manager. And she goes behind the wall, and I'm thinking, she's not calling a manager, she's calling the cops. But at this point, it's 2 in the morning, I'm naked with a pizza box. What the hell am I going to do? I need to get back in my room. So they had a bellhop stand that I got behind. It's like a podium, and I'm standing there with my pizza box. And while I'm waiting on her, the front door of the hotel opens, and in walks Larry, the cable guy, and our road manager. And I'm like, thank you, God, here's answered prayer. Now they come walking over to me. Again, I'm naked, holding a pizza box in front of my groceries there. Larry walks up. He doesn't say, oh my God, dude, what happened? He looked at me, and he looked at the pizza box. He goes, I thought you said you wasn't hungry. Yeah, I've been sitting here naked in the lobby eating pepperoni. I said, dude, I locked myself out of my room. I'm trying to get another key. Well, about that time, the front desk lady comes back, and now she's got a security guard with her. So I look at Larry, and I said, Larry, I said, will you please tell her who I am so I can get a key and get back in my room? He looked at me, he looked at her, and he goes, I have never seen him before in my entire life. Well, the security guard burst out laughing. And thankfully, he recognized both of us. He got the emergency key. He rode up the elevator with me in my pizza boxes. He let me back in my room. I said, wait right here. I went in, I got my wallet. I gave him $50. I'm like, never tell anybody about this thing. And hell, now I'm telling y'all for free. So when I got back in my room, I got my sweatpants on and made sure I had my room key, put a t-shirt on. I waited about 10 minutes, and I walked back across the hall, and I knock on Larry's door. He opens it up. He's still laughing. He's like, he goes, I told you I couldn't wait until you asked me to do something for you. I said, all right, you got me. I said, are we even? He's like, yeah, we're even. I said, well, just to prove I don't have hard feelings, I went and got you a beer. You guys have been so awesome. God bless you. Good luck. We'll see you guys.
So COVID started in 2020. So the summer of 2019, Larry, the cable guy, and I were doing a bunch of dates together that summer. And when you do summer dates, they're almost all outside. You're either doing amphitheaters or country music festivals or, fairs. You're always outside, and you get used to being hot. We did a music festival in Phoenix. It was 112 when we went on stage, and the promoter was trying to make us feel better. He goes, "Come on, fellas, it's a dry heat." I said, "So is the electric chair. It's 112 degrees, So, but I don't sweat very much. I mean, you can say I don't sweat when I'm up here. And so we do this show one night in the South. I'm not even going to say the name of the city because there may be a computer genius here that can get the footage of this. But we did a show one night, and it was not only hot, it was humid as rip. So 10 minutes in the show, I got sweat dripping off my nose onto the stage. 20 minutes in, looks like a wet t-shirt contest. By the end of it, I look like I've been sprayed with a fire hose. I've never sweated this much in my life. And we usually don't eat before a show because it makes you feel kind of sluggish, so we're always hungry, when we get off stage. So I get off stage that night, and I'm in the dressing room, and I'm just pounding Gatorade and water trying to rehydrate. And I hear Larry, the cable guy, coming down the hall, and he slides into my dressing room. He's like, "Hey, let's go eat." And Larry says this a lot. And I usually go because it's fun to watch Larry eat. It's impressive. But I said, "Dude," I said, "not tonight." I said, "I got too hot. I'm not hungry." I said, "I'm just going back to the hotel and going to bed." He's like, "Yeah, right. Come on, let's go eat." I said, "No, I'm not hungry. I got too hot. I'm not kidding with you." He goes, "Are you serious?" He goes, "I cannot wait till you ask me to do something for you." What are you, 9 years old? It's not personal. I got too hot. I'm not hungry. So I got in the van. I got him to take me back to the hotel and got in my room. And probably a lot of y'all make your living on the road. You have your little routine. When I'm on the road, I like it really dark when I sleep. I like it really cold, so I'll turn the thermostat down. But when you're doing stand-up, you're in a different city every night. Every hotel room is different than the day before. So one of my tricks is I always turn the light on in the bathroom, and I'll shut the door. But that way, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I have to go, I can see that light. I know that kind of orients me, and I know where I am. And I usually sleep in my underwear, but this night they're wet. My socks are wet. I've sweated that much, and I'm like, I'm not sleeping in wet underwear, and I told you I only packed 3 pairs, So I just peel them off, and I flop in the bed naked, and I'm out. Well, I wake up about 1:30 in the morning, and I really, really have to pee, probably from all the Gatorade and the water. And any guy over 40 knows what I'm talking about. You have to pee too much to go back to sleep. You can't go back to sleep, but you don't really want to wake up. You just want to get it done and get back in the bed. So I get up and got my eyes half open. I see the light, and I walk in there. Well, as soon as the door closes, I realize I'm in the hall of a really nice hotel without a stitch of clothes on. And you want to wake up in a hurry, forget coffee. This is the way to do it right here. So I'm trying to think through it. Well, Larry's room was right across the hall from mine. And I'm thinking, thank God. I run over there and I'm knocking on the door, and he's not answering. And I can picture him peeking through the keyhole and laughing. But as I'm knocking on the door, I hear the elevator ding. And I'm like, okay, well, I got a 50-50 shot. They're either going to get off and go the other way, or they're going to get off and come towards me. And sure enough, these 2 Korean guys, they're talking with each other. They get off and they start walking right towards me. And I'm like, what do you do? What do you do? And I'm like, you act like nothing's up. That's what you do. So I start walking towards them. Literally past them in the hall. Hey, how you doing? And one of them said something, which I really hoped meant, wow, that was impressive. But when I looked it up on Translator, I found out it meant, did you see her mustache? So I know I can't get on the elevator. I know elevators have security cameras, and I'm thinking, where do I go? Well, at the end of the hall, they had that exit, for the stairwell, and I'm like, at least get out of the lighted hallway. So I jog down the rest of the hall, and I get in the stairwell, hoping there'll be like a trash can in there where I can take the trash bag out and wear it like over all of it. Get in the stairwell, no trash can, but at least I'm not in the lighted hallway. And as I'm trying to think through it, I noticed there's a couple of empty beer cans down in the corner. Well, the reason I got up in the first place was I had to pee. I have no idea how long I'm going to be locked out of my room, and I'm not proud of it, but I picked those cans up and I peed in them and I put them back. I felt horrible about it, but it was old Milwaukee, and I figure whoever cleans them up will go, yeah, that's old Milwaukee, all right. But it was a really nice hotel, and they had 24-hour room service. So my thought was, well, maybe somebody's left their room service tray outside their room, and I can get that big cloth napkin and wear it like a diaper, So I'm going down the stairwell, and every floor I'm opening the door and looking down the hall for a tray. And I get about 3 or 4 floors down. I hadn't found a tray yet, but somebody's left a couple of pizza boxes outside their room. Well, to me, it looks like a folded tuxedo sitting there. So I run down there, I get the pizza boxes, and I bring them back, and I go down the last 3 or 4 floors and never do find a room service tray. But by now, it's really late. It's like 2 in the morning, and I get to lobby level. Well, I can crack the door, and I can see almost the entire lobby. I don't see a soul. I don't hear anybody talking. I'm thinking, all you got to do is be brave for 20 seconds. I put 1 pizza box in the front, 1 in the back. Walk up to the desk, the lady's working there. As I go up, she looks up and she goes, "Can I help you?" "Yes, you can." I said, "I have accidentally locked myself out of my room. Can I just get another key so I can get back in?" She goes, do you have any identification?" I said, "I do, but it's in my other pizza box." I'm like, "No, I locked myself out of my room. I got nothing." And she says, I need to talk to a manager." And she goes behind the wall, and I'm thinking, she's not calling a manager, she's calling the cops. But it's 2 in the morning, I'm naked with a pizza box in front of my junk. Where am I going to go? So they had a bellhop stand, like a podium, and I got behind that, and I'm just waiting on her. Well, as I'm waiting, all of a sudden the front doors to the hotel open up, and in walks Larry the Cable Guy and our tour manager. And I'm like, "Thank you, God. Here's answered prayer." So they walk across the lobby. Again, I'm naked holding a pizza box. Larry does not say, "Oh my gosh, buddy, what happened to you?" He looked at me. He looked at the pizza box. He goes, "I thought you said you wasn't hungry." Just been sitting down here naked eating pepperoni in the lobby, I said, "I locked myself out of my room." Well, about that time, here comes the front desk lady back, and now she's got a security guard with her. I said, "Larry, I need you to do me a giant favor." I said, "Tell her who I am so I can get a key and get back in my room." And he looked at me. He looked at her. He goes, "I have never seen him before in my entire life." And he got on the elevator and rode up. Thankfully, the security guard started laughing. He recognized both of us. He was one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. He got the magic key. He rode up the elevator with me and the pizza boxes, and we went down the hall. He let me in my room. I said, "Wait here." I went in and got my wallet. I gave him a $100 bill. I said, "Thank you so much. Please never tell anybody about this." And now I'm telling y'all for free. But I got back in my room, I put my sweatpants on, put a t-shirt on, made sure I had that room key in my pocket, and I waited about 10 minutes, and I walked back across the hall and knock on Larry's door. He opens the door, he's still laughing. He's like, he goes, "I told you I couldn't wait until you asked me to do something for you." I said, "All right, you got me." I said, "Are we even?" He's like, "Yeah, we're even." I said, "Well, just to prove I don't have any hard feelings, I went and got you a beer." Thanks, y'all. God bless you. Thank you for being here. I a redneck? I married into rednecks. I married into world-class rednecks. My wife and her entire family are from the great state of Louisiana. So don't guess we have anybody from Louisiana here, right? Really? Seriously? Are you kidding? What do you think about this electricity? This is not meant. Different colors and everything. I really didn't expect somebody from Louisiana. What part of Louisiana? Alexandria. Yeah, my wife is from New Orleans, and I kid Louisiana, but you'll back me up. Greatest food on the planet Earth, as long as you don't ask too many questions. Because as long as there's a ditch on the side of the road, nobody is going hungry in Louisiana. And you'll back me up on this, because my wife's from New Orleans, as I said, but she's got all these cousins from Thibodeau and Bunkie, all those Cajun places. You've seen swamp people? That's my wife's relatives. 27 of them came to our house last Thanksgiving. I didn't understand a word they said all weekend. The kids were like, hey, Mr. Jim, you think it'd be all right to go on down the outside of the house this here, go in the back room, get a robe? You think I'll be all right with do that, huh? Okay. An hour later, my wife's like, did you tell them they could jump off the garage roof? I might have. I have no idea what they're saying. But boy, they brought some great food with you. I'd be sitting there at the table going, man, this is delicious. What is it? They were like, you don't want to know. You put your little more hot sauce on and keep chewing that city boy. Like, come on, give me a clue. Does it swim? Does it fly? Maybe it do and maybe it don't. You just keep eating. I saw them hit boiling pots with a wooden spoon going, get back in there right now. And my wife has all these cousins up in the northern part of the state, up around Shreveport. Several years ago, they had this pretty bad flooding there, and so we were watching it on the news. You know, we were concerned, and I said to my wife, I said, you wait, before the story's over, CNN will go find the biggest idiot they can locate. I said, they're going to show somebody walking chest deep in water right through the middle of town. And they did. And it was my wife's cousin, Danny. But not only was Danny walking chest deep in water, he was holding an umbrella. I'm looking at my wife going, that has got to make you proud right there. That's your bloodline on national television. I gave her so much grief about that. Until it occurred to me this woman and I had children together. And Lord, knowing what I know about my family and knowing what I know about hers, it made me worry about our offspring. Because you mix stagnant pond water with raw sewage, you ain't getting Evian. Speaking of kids, fact of life, the more kids you have, the worse your parenting becomes. People that only have one child are making homemade baby food out of organic vegetables they're growing in their own backyard. Yeah, by the time that fourth kid rolls around, you're smoking a cigarette while you watch your toddler pull a year-old milk dud out from under the stove and eat it. Pick the cat hair off of it before you put it in your mouth, dummy. Speaking of wives, fact of life, if your wife hints that she might be in the mood, your kids will sense it and won't go to bed for 3 years. And lick his rear end for hours and be totally fine. But if he eats half a candy bar, he dies. I don't know why every time I get great tickets to a concert, I always end up being seated next to somebody that has to sing every song at the top of their lungs. So several years ago, Simon and Garfunkel came to Atlanta. My wife wanted to go. She had a couple of friends that wanted to go. Well, my mother-in-law wanted to go. Quick backstory on my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has hearing aids that she refuses to wear because she thinks they don't look good. But because she doesn't wear them, she can't hear a lick. She talks louder than anybody on the planet. One night around Christmas time, we go to the movies. We're standing in the long line at the concession stand. My mother-in-law walks over to me and goes, "Don't look now, but the man behind us is cross-eyed as a bat." Which is bad for two reasons. One, you're embarrassed to death. And two, when somebody says something like that, yes, you've got to look, you know. Then I'm like, turn around, the guy's glaring at me. Well, he may not have been glaring at me, but he was glaring at somebody. So we go to Simon and Garfunkel. Somehow I end up being seated next to my mother-in-law. She doesn't have the hearing aids in. She sang every Simon and Garfunkel song, and she knew the words to none of them. Like a witch over Bubbles' daughter. Or you can, I will grease your pine. Grease your pine? That's what you got out of that? And my kids make fun of me. They're like, "Dad, don't ever stand up there and tell people things." I don't know why in 2023 we still have jobs that we will call men's jobs or women's jobs. Like if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, whose job is it to go check out the noise? It's the man. Let's be, yeah, you never see this. Phyllis. Phyllis. Run downstairs, see what that noise was. Hey, bring me back a piece of chicken, okay? Now, if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, it is the man checking it out. In his underwear, carrying a baseball bat. Because that is the official uniform of suspicious noises, underpants and a baseball bat. I don't know what we're hoping to find, some guy in the living room in his underwear with a ball. And my dad didn't even need the baseball bat, because my dad wore those gigantic boxer shorts that were always gapped open in the front. That gap was like a taser to a thief. Shut the gap, shut the gap. Here, take my wallet, just shut that gap. I don't know why you can't ride a bicycle anymore without dressing like Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. Anybody remember when you could ride a bike wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt? Not anymore, got to have the uni. And it's not just young athletic people. You got these fat middle-aged guys. They look like the Michelin Man in a wetsuit, and they've got sponsor logos. Who's sponsoring you, Pop? Dunkin' Donuts, all right. Pedal on, doughboy, pedal on. And actually, she packs light for airline travel as opposed to if we go on vacation in the car. Now, if we go on vacation in the car, there's a fine line between packing and moving. But my wife and daughters, they think it is their job to fill that SUV to the top. And the way they pack would make a man lay on the floor and wet himself. They will bring out a bag with bread and potato chips, put it on the bottom, then put 3 suitcases on top of it. I'm like, let me do this, please. Because men care about, there's an art to packing a car, isn't there? Total art. My daddy could get a house full of furniture into the trunk of a Buick. Hold the jack, hand me the piano. I got this son of a gun, you know. And I'm like my daddy too. Once I get that car packed the way I like it, I'm ready to go. Not my wife. I walk in the house like, all right, car's packed, let's do it. Oh, we can't go yet. What do you mean we can't go? Car's packed, let's go. No, I got to straighten up the house. Do what? Well, I'm not going to be able to have a good time if I know I'm going to be coming back to a messy house. Why didn't you straighten it up the last couple of days? Because I had to pack. Which in a nutshell is why men die before women. Because we want to. Things you don't know. If you don't know something, Google it. And to a point, they're right. I mean, when I was growing up, if you were watching TV and somebody goes, "What was that guy in?" You go, "Man, he looks familiar." That was it. Now you watch TV, somebody goes, "What was that guy in?" Somebody takes their phone and goes, "He was the janitor on Joey." And there are a ton of things you can Google. But I try to teach my daughters, I said, what you don't understand is there's a lot of things you can't Google. There's things you only learn through life experience. I call them the facts of life, things you can't Google. Like this, fact of life. If you are trying to get to the bathroom in an emergency situation, it is not a wise idea to unbutton your pants in transit in the effort to save a couple of seconds. Because the muscles that guard the floodgates will interpret the unbuttoning as the signal to abandon their post. And the 2 seconds you saved on the button are nullified by the hour and a half you spend mopping and doing laundry. Google won't tell you that. You learn that the hard way. Fact of life. Out of all of the cereals, Captain Crunch is the most time intensive. Here's what I'm talking about. You eat it too soon after you poured the milk on and you will rip the roof of your mouth to shreds. You wait too long after you pour the milk on and the captain will put a film on your teeth a wire brush can't get rid of. Fact of life, you can have a wife with long, beautiful hair, or you can be on time. I don't know why the bank leaves the vault door wide open, but chains the 25-cent ink pen to the counter. And why does the drive-up banking window have directions written in Braille? They do. Look at it next time you go to the bank. I don't know why the people with the worst breath always stand the closest to you when they talk. They're like, guess what? I don't know. You have a dirty diaper in your mouth? Can I tell you something? All right, but do it quick. I can only hold my breath for 30 seconds. And you always try to offer them a mint or a piece of gum. They never take it. They're like, oh, no thanks. Ooh, I don't like the way those taste. Yeah, I can see where you wouldn't prefer peppermint to that cat turd you're gnawing on right now. That's,